What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another watch this video. Happy Tuesday, August 18th. Today overall was a nasty and damaging day for a lot of charts, even ones that had recently started to wake up. Whether that's your AXTIs, which this one wasn't really that bad, but AAOI, like some names that have started to wake up a little bit. It was a nasty day for those, right? The QQQ still, a slightly declining slash flattening 50-day and the 20-day below it. So, today's move also though was accompanied by some above average volume, but overall looks to me like it's trying to find a higher low, right? IWM expectation breaker off the inside day from yesterday. Your S&P 500, right? SPY back, maybe back to the 20-day slash the prior highs pivot would be an interesting spot for a bounce. I think that's where we'll probably come into, but overall, like we're not too broken yet. Yes, there's a ton of names that have been lagging and have been destroyed that in the last week have started to bounce, and then today they're getting absolutely destroyed. So it is what it is. But overall, I have a good list of stuff that has been holding up well. There are certain groups that have been holding up well, right? I think the market is still working toward making a higher low, but that means I'm not stepping in front of this pullback just yet, because you don't know how long it'll last and things like that, right? Like I said yesterday, we need to let the market pull in, build a higher low setup, and then we can maybe go for it. Okay. Today doesn't ruin everything though, right? But it does make me a little bit more cautious. I think this is probably like yesterday slash today is kind of like day one of maybe just being a little bit cautious. Stuff's not starting to work as well. Maybe stuff that is starting to work is an Eli Lilly, which is one I bought today, and this chart looks phenomenal. Double bottom base. You're building a huge base. This group's acting great. I'm going to go over that. I'm going to try to make this video quick as well, so I want to go through everything super quick. But I bought this one through the prior day high, right? You can see that first 5-minute bar of the day. Boom, you're pushing right through the prior day high. That's where I'm starting to get long. Just like I talked about in yesterday's video, that's what I was looking for as a higher low setup. You could have bought it off the 50, or you wait for it to build a higher low and you go after it the next day as it pushes through the prior day high. But nonetheless, big base building. I'd love to see it maybe go sideways for a day or two, or give us a base breakout and I'll add to it again. Okay, but nonetheless, it looks like a good base overall. And I bought Eli Lilly 2x ETF, which also looks pretty good. But as you can see today, my list is way larger than usual. It is compiled of some of the best acting names in the market and some of the names I own personally or want to own. But there's a common theme between a lot of these, and that's most of them need more time to go sideways or pull in a little bit more to build higher lows. Okay, so there's still standout relative strength groups, and that's where I want to keep most of my focus. However, many recent setups have felt very premature, right? Only getting a tight day for 2 or 3 days before eventually moving higher, which, possibly has created some FOMO as names just continue higher after not really giving the cleanest of entries, right? So, but I will say there have been a few decent setups. Like I don't think STX was too bad, but that's another one where it's like it was a piece of shit, and then it gaps up off of its lows. Next day is a follow through, and it's like all of a sudden a great setup. Like I don't know. It's just yes, it was decent, but see it fail today. It's like okay, maybe it's just pulling back in the base. Maybe wants to reset back up. I just don't think some of these setups have been the greatest, right? Some of them have been great. I think a few weeks ago it was a different story, but I think in the last week or two, a lot of names that people have been buying, or maybe even I've been trying, they just haven't been set up too much. Like this TER, like it was kind of a piece of shit below the 50-day, and then you get a gap above the 50-day, and then all of a sudden it just is going to go straight up. Like these things need to get above the 50, build real setups. I haven't seen too good of a setup on TR. Nonetheless, though, it's been acting awesome until today. But either way, it's still on the list. It was acting awesome when the market started to pick up. And I think today's day wasn't the absolute worst thing in the world. It's back above the 50. Like I said, you wait for it to get back above the 50, and then it builds a setup. Names I want to keep an eye on, right? So I guess you could say that in hindsight. There's been plenty of mediocre setups, right? Very little stuff that's been tight or constructive, right? There's been a few, but a pullback or more sideways thing in the overall market and for stocks would be very healthy. It allows names to build proper bases. But I don't want to see these leading stocks get clobbered. Okay, that's not what I want to see. But overall, my main goal, like tomorrow moving forward, right, remains staying very patient until I see that setup that's worth going after. Eli Lilly was worth going after. Other than that, did I see anything else today? Am I missing out on anything? I don't think so. I'm still holding Dell, right? I think it looks fine. I don't think it looks too bad. HPE, I think looks great. Like it's 4-day pullback, but you go to a weekly chart, it's an inside week. It had an awesome 2 weeks. Let these things pull in, build higher lows. Don't freak out. Don't just sell them. I think most of these look fine. SMH back below the 50-day on a gap down. Don't see too much to do with this one. Is it trying to build a higher low here? It's a huge possibility too. Is it today? I don't know. We'll see. But it still has a chance to build higher lows and get back through the 50 days, what I'd want to see. But like I said, You really need this group to participate if you want the market to move higher, right? Software names in general were a standout today. Oil and gas, healthcare, and biotech, right? IGV barely down at all today. Overall, just digesting. Looks pretty good to me. Let's go over breadth here really fast. Right, definitely an unwind and breadth the last 2 days, right? You can look at Pradeep's, it gives a way better, I guess, explanation of that. But nonetheless, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? 5-day ratio going red, but I mean, maybe this is needed, right? Maybe there's too many loose and extended charts, and we needed this kind of pullback in the market to get stuff to, build out and then give it some time, right? Going through futures here really quick. Crude oil, I always do that. Colgate. Okay, there you go. Crude oil with, a little bit of a rest day. XLE, brand new highs, man. This thing is an absolute monster. You can look at PSX. You can look at MPC, your big one, ExxonMobil, right? Just continuing higher in a big way. DK is building a nice little flat base or a nice pivot. VG, no real momentum in this one just yet, but I am keeping an eye on it through that little pivot. Kind of just like a upper wick bar today. Looks like a wick play through the pivot. That's a setup I like to take, but nonetheless, I mean, it's just not my favorite look, but it doesn't look too bad. It's building a base, so I do like the way it looks, but not my absolute favorite. Kospi's getting like a 5% gap down here in the after hours. SA Hynix got hit pretty hard today. It's still above his 1020, but nonetheless, talked about this one yesterday. You come up in the IPO high. That was another big area of resistance over here. You pretty much, it was a DTSS where you swept that prior high, and then you absolutely got clobbered today. But yeah, I mean, this whole group did, right? ES, right, the whole market did. ES, another day of a pullback, right? Another unwind. NQ, same thing. The 20-day for both of these is going to be a big spot. The NQs is the 20 and the 50-day. The ES is the 20-day. Russell, speaking of DTSS, this looks to me like a breach and failure of a high or of a prior left side peak. So interesting salies. Has a chance to squat, pull in, build a higher low, and continue higher. Gold, right? Bearish engulfing today. Nonetheless, just building a range. Doesn't look too bad to me. And I'm going to go through my watches here. Amazon, you want to talk about the mags. Most of them don't look the best except Microsoft, but you look at the mags ETF, right? It's at a support area, support gap. Nvidia, like I wanted, it pulled back in the range. Let it continue going sideways for a few more days, but can Amazon get working? Maybe. I want to keep an eye on it. It's literally just been, red every single day for the last 7 days, and it's right at the 20-day, right at that prior high, which is an interesting spot. Can it push through the 20-day again? That's what I'll be watching tomorrow. Can it push through there? Maybe the market gets a little bit of a breather and Amazon can start to show relative strength again and push through the prior day high. And that's what I'd be watching personally. ANET, it's been holding up really well overall. It's got a double inside week right now. It had inside week from last week, but overall it's building sideways, right? It's pretty volatile range. This name honestly trades like shit. It really does not trade very good. But if this thing can pull back and you get a higher low setup on it, it can be a nice way to get yourself positioned in this name. Sorry, I'm absolutely botching everything I say. But overall, I don't think it looks too bad, and I'm just going to continue to let it build a range. I like the candle today off the 20-day, maybe above today's highs. Nonetheless, it's been a name that's been holding up really well. Liquid, high ADR, but I will say it's not a very linear stock, so continue to just monitor it. Blaze, one of the setups that I actually think looks absolutely awesome. It's a software name, and you get an inside day-to-day, post-earnings gap. You've been tight since then. It looks pretty good to me. I like this little mini base or a flag it's building. Think it looks awesome above today's highs, and I would like to get into this one tomorrow. I think this is one of the very few names I would see myself buying tomorrow if it triggers through that prior day high, right? Just because I put a name on the list doesn't mean I'm trying to be right. These are just names I'm paying attention to. If a name goes on the list and it gaps down, like I had BE on the list for like if the market really wanted to wake up and continue higher, which that's what I expected, but I had an expectation breaker today. I would think a BE with maybe getting 4 days tight with an inside day was going to push through the 50-day, but no, it gapped down, it never triggered, and it just wasn't a thing. And FCell kind of traded like a piece of shit today, so not my favorite. Dell still looks fine, right? Let it continue build, let it find a higher low. HP, same thing. Maybe I could look at this one as a higher low setup here in the next day or two. FTNT inside day today, right at the 50. This one and what's the other one? I think it's Okta. Kind of look like maybe they want lower, but I don't know. This is an inside day. We'll see how this one acts in the morning. If it's pushing through today's lows, I don't think so. But if it maybe can get a little bit of a gap and then is pushing through today's highs, that would be an interesting spot for me as a higher low. But nonetheless, even if it does see a little bit of an unwind down here, this could be a spot for higher low. I wouldn't want to see it lose a 50, but overall, it's building a base. Okta is building a base. Let these things have time to build out. You look at CrowdStrike and, it's all the way up here. Let it continue to pull back a little bit, build a higher low, PanW, same thing. The Cyber ETF in general is a great explanation, right? The 3 days into a pullback after a really big, multi-week move up. Let these things pull in more, build higher lows, then we can go for them. Okay, they don't look bad. Eli Lilly remains one of the best looking charts on my screens, 100%. I think this was a great one to buy today, and I'm pretty glad I got this one right at the open. And it looks awesome. Continue to monitor this one. If it gets a flat base breakout, I want to add to it. Microsoft, right? You talk about the Mags group. If it can find support, I think Microsoft's the one to pay attention to it. It's finally pulling in a little bit now. It had the breakdown from the little mini bear flag. It was kind of a stall day today, so I would like to see another push lower. I'm watching that 20-day / that prior pivot. We'll see it reacts to the earnings low, but nonetheless, name one I want to keep an eye on. NBIS saw a big unwind in your EWY, your LYTE, right, which is going to be your NBIS. Or sorry, your NBIS is NCLD, but a big unwind there. DRAM, a nasty unwind, right? Not the stuff you want to see. STX, you've been building a little mini base, building higher lows into it. You break out, you stop everybody out, you shake out all the weak hands. Can we build a higher low? It's something I want to keep an eye on, right? Because it's out of all of them, this one's acting like one of the best. So I don't want to just completely take it off my radar. These names could either be done, or this name can pull in, build a higher low, and then I'm going to go for it. So I just want to keep an eye on it. NBIS, same thing. Let it pull in, build a higher low, and I want to go for it. We'll see though. Next few days of action. Like I said, a lot of these names have been prior leaders or just names I really want to continue to keep an eye on for higher low setups if they can continue to pull in. NTAP, it's been a big leader. No way of me buying this thing up here. Snow, kind of same thing, right? It's just, it needs more time. Let these things develop and they can look really good. Oscar in that healthcare group, right? Going over healthcare. Eli Lilly, I talked about AbbVie. AbbVie looks the same as Eli Lilly. It's building a big base. Had an awesome update today. TMO, right? This thing had a power earnings gap, built a little flag, broke out, kind of squatted inside day today. Doesn't look too bad. Not my favorite, but it's in that group. NTRA, GH is kind of that healthcare group. You look at ARCG. ARCG with the inside day today looks like a flag, looks pretty good to me. TXG looks fine, looks like a flag. Twist looks like a fine. NTRA, here we go. I can talk about it now. NTRA, power earnings gap. You're building a flag inside day today, right? I'm not going to go for these ones because I don't really like trading biotechs. It also moves like less than 4% per day, but nonetheless, it looks good. And don't forget, Eli Lilly and GH are also in that ARCG holdings. So, and B-Fly is another one that's in there, right? Which looks fine. It's just building a base. Could throw this on the list as well. Looks like a cup and it's building out the handle. Nonetheless, it's building a flag. Let a few more days of action. I think it could look good for a higher low, but it looks pretty good to me. So it could have been buyable yesterday, and then today you're not stopped out as long as your stops at low a day. So it still looks fine. XPI, still looks good. It's starting to build sideways here. It was showing some nice relative strength today. And you can look at some names I wrote down like Guild, right? Broken out of a base. Looks not too bad here. Sorry, too much uhs. And ABCL, power earnings gap. It's been acting awesome. Halo, another biotech, right? Acting awesome. Continue to keep these names on the list. Maybe if you want to trade them, you can trade them. And randomly, pill ETF, the pharma ETF, this thing trades not even not even 2 million per day. But I mean, what a chart, right? Pharmaceutical ETF or bull ETF. So very interesting to say the least, right? Continue going through my list. Palantir, big software name. This group's been showing relative strength. This thing barely unwound today, but it looks to me like it wants to pull in more. Let this thing build a flag here. It has a chance to build a super nice high tight flag, right? Probably would want a bigger move than that, but nonetheless, it has, it's up high up here and it can build a flag. I want to continue to keep an eye on it. A little bit of a pull, whether it's a 10-day, this pivot. Same thing like Microsoft, right? Microsoft did the same thing. It's in the same spot as Palantir, maybe just a little bit lower, but pull into that pivot spot. Maybe that's a spot you can find a higher loss. RBRK, it's part of that cyber group. There's no setup here, but it's been a big monster name. I want to own this name, but there's no setup, right? That's the common theme. The best names that you should be wanting to own, they're just not set up. So there's nothing to do, right? There's nothing to do. Snow is another one, right? Looks fine, but there's nothing to do. SpaceX, I will say, this is building a nice range. This is another one that reminds me of Blaze, where it's like through the prior day high, maybe you could get something going. I like the sideways under the IPO lows. We've talked about this the last few days. STX talked about this one as a higher low. If there's any to go in that group, if the group can stop going down, then STX is the one to go for. I just want to continue to keep an eye on TER. A few more days of action would give some more clarity, but a possible higher low coming into any one of these areas. I think, just like I said, more action would give me a better idea. Toast, software group, building a flag, could have been viable today through the prior day high, although it didn't stick too well. But I mean, look at the, look at this move off the open, right? It did unwind a bit in that last hour, but it was nice off the open. And overall, it's building a range. Let it continue building the range, gets tight and breaks out of the range, and then we'll go for it. Okay. This IGV group, whether it's Palantir, Toast, Centennial One, if I can even type it, Centennial One looks good. QLYS looks good. Sale. Oops. Maybe I typed in the wrong ticker here. Yeah, Sale. There you go. Unity, Team, Twilio with an inside day today doesn't look too bad. Maybe a little bit lower. I don't know. Now with an inside day, right? It was horrible yesterday, but an inside day today, it's building a pretty big base. Looks like a stage 1 base to me. So interesting. I don't know if I'd go for that one, if I'd go for any of them. Frog is building a base, right? This group looks good. Speaking of TER, I saw the Robo ETF got absolutely annihilated today on some pretty big volume, like 5x its average volume. Super gross. And then some more charts I'm keeping an eye on. Shop. I think Airbnb looks good. Another one where it's like, give it some time. It is a slower name, right? 3.5% per day. But nonetheless, it looks pretty good. Net, give it some time. This is another one where it could build a higher low, right? I'm watching this pivot / the 20-day. Zeta is another software name. Let it pull in, let it build a higher low. That's just what I'm going to monitor. Right, the leaders, the name showing the best relative strength. Right, it seems like there's a common theme. They just need more sideways, need to pull in maybe a little bit more, and consolidate, build out these ranges, and provide higher low setups, and then we can go after them. But yeah, that's going to be everything for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good night. Peace.